Thank God for Jesus. That's what I want to talk about this morning. For our Resurrection Sunday Bible study. And communion is today also. And communion. Amen. Thank God for Jesus is my title. Thank God for Jesus, because Jesus paid it all. He paid for our sins. And we know that the wages of sin is this. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. I want to show you something, how much God loves us. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, look at verse 21. When you finally say, bless his name.
Bless his name.
This is a blessing because he died for us. Should have been us on the cross. But watch the significance of his death. I got some nuggets for you to help you. 2 Corinthians 5:21. Look what it says. For he made him, God, made Jesus, made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we may be made the righteousness of God in him. May the Lord add a blessing to the hearers and the doers of his word. He made Jesus be sin for us, who knew no sin, who done no wrong, but loved us so much that he was obedient to the Father's request to die on the cross in our place. It was a substitutionary death, which means it should have been you and I on the cross. Because Jesus knew no sin. And the Bible teaches us that the wages of sin is death. That when you sin, the penalty or payment for it is death. And what is death? Not physical death. You may not die of physical death right off. But spiritually, you separate or torn apart from God. Because God is holy. And we ought to be what? Holy. And so since Adam and Eve sin and rebel against the will of God and the word of God and the ways of God and the intentions of God, they rebel against everything that God told them not to do. They rebel. That's what sin is too. Rebellion against God, his ways, his will, and his intentions. And when they sinned, they were torn apart from God. And God put them out of Eden. And so everyone that is born of a man and of a woman is born of the seed of Adam and Eve, because they were the first humans. But God wanted to put that back in right standing and get us back to him. But he could not, because all humans were what? Corrupt. So he had to send his son Jesus, who was holy, came down in flesh, born of a virgin, and became a man and went to the cross on our behalf. Because the wages of sin is death. The only thing that's going to satisfy God when we sin is somebody got to die. Some blood got to be shed, but it got to be pure blood. But all the blood on the earth was already contaminated. Amen. So he made him that knew no sin, 2 Corinthians 5:21, become sin for us. So Jesus was the only one that was worthy to die in our place, because all others had sinned. Moses couldn't do it. He was just a man. Elijah couldn't do it. He was just a man. Elisha couldn't do it. None of those people could have done it, because they all had what? Sinned. So Jesus died in our place. He was a sacrificial lamb. Now let me tell you something about the significance of Jesus' death. This is where you're going to get the history. This is where you're going to get the knowledge. Do you know when Jesus rose from the dead? I know. I can give you the date. See, God, see, we got to take this word serious. He ain't hiding nothing from us. We just not reading it and spending time. Palm Sunday signified the Passover. Jesus loved us so much. You know what he did? He died during the Jewish holiday of Passover and the unleavened bread. While everybody was getting ready to celebrate the Passover and the week of unleavened bread, Jesus decided this would be a good time to die. Yeah. during the holidays. Now watch this. What is the Passover? The Passover is the time when God said that he was going to kill all the firstborn in Egypt. And he told the Israelites, all the firstborn males, that they should kill a lamb that was without blemish, sprinkle the blood around the doorpost. And when I send a death angel out that night to kill all the firstborn males, a house that has the blood of the lamb on it, I'm going to bypass it. That's called the Passover. It was one night where God was going to kill all the firstborn males that were born in Egypt, including his own people, unless they will follow the commandments of Moses and kill a lamb. He said, don't kill no crippled, blind, maimed lamb. Kill a lamb that's without blemish, roast it, cook the bread without baking it, without yeast in it, unleavened bread, because you ain't got time. I'm finna do something quick. I'm finna deliver you tonight. You ain't got time to sit around and wait for the bread to rise. Mix the dough, put it in the oven, and start eating it. But sprinkle the blood of the lamb around the doorpost. And when the death angel comes, every house that has Israelite house, not Egyptian, every Israelite house that had the blood sprinkled around the door, the death angel will pass them by. That's called the Passover. So once that night happened and God started killing all the firstborn males, they had to flee Egypt. So while they were fleeing, that feast lasted 7 days. They had to eat the next. The Passover only lasted 1 day, one night. But the rest of those nights, or the rest of those days following that, they were to eat their bread because they was already headed to the promised land. Once God started killing, they were to depart. They were headed to the promised land, but they still had to eat along the way. So you still can't sit there and wait for that bread to rise. You mix that dough, you cook it, and you keep marching. Because Pharaoh may try to come get you. You leaving with haste. Get your kid, get your belongings, gather all your things. That's why they were eating bread without yeast in it, unleavened bread. And God said, when you get to the promised land, this is going to be a memorial for you forever throughout your generation, that on the month of Abib, on the 14th day to the 21st day, you're going to celebrate this Passover in the week of unleavened bread. Now, when Jesus got ready to be crucified, he said, go and prepare the upper room that I may eat this Passover with you. Right. So Palm Sunday is the time he was coming to Jerusalem on that donkey, which was the day of the Passover. That's why he was eating. We call it the Lord's Supper, but it's a celebration of the Passover in which tonight God delivered the Israelites from Egypt. But we call it the Lord's Supper or the Last Supper, but it's really the Passover supper. And so Jesus died. Abib is the same month as Nisan on the Jewish calendar, which is similar to our April. So Jesus was crucified April the 14th and rose April the 21st. And you don't believe me? Don't write it. Don't turn there. But go home and read Deuteronomy chapter 6 and Exodus chapter 22. He's given the dates right there. In the month of Abib, A-B-I-B, on the 14th day to the 21st day, that's 7 days. That's why last Sunday was what? Palm Sunday, which represents the Passover. So Jesus was crucified 7 days later. Well, he rose from the dead 7 days later. Because the Bible says very early Sunday morning. So you got from one Sunday to the next Sunday is 7 days. So in between those 7 days, he was crucified. Now, most people teach he was crucified on Good Friday. But I'm not going to go into all that. I don't see how it could have been a Friday when Jesus said he was going to stay in the belly of the well. In the heart of the earth, just like Jonah was in the belly of the well 3 days and 3 nights. So if he got crucified on a Friday, he couldn't have been in the earth 3 days. So I'm not going to, and I know they say Jewish days begin at the end of the day, not like our morning. So the Jewish day begin when the sun go down. That's a new day. But even in that, it still wouldn't be 3 days. Still would have to be Thursday. But tradition says Friday, so we're going to celebrate Good Friday. The whole point of the matter, as long as you're living right, it don't matter what day. We know he got up.
Yes, sir.
With all power in his hand. That's the significance of it. The love that Christ has for us is unimaginable. Who became our sacrifice during the time most of his countrymen was celebrating the week of unleavened bread and the Passover. He died during the most celebrated time of the Jewish nation. This is the time. One thing I like about America, America may have its ways, but they do recognize God. Amen. Amen? They do recognize God. And as long as you try to recognize God in your life, that's all right with God. Because some people ain't got no time for no God. You understand? You ain't going to be able to be perfect. But God going to look at your heart. And America do recognize God. Amen? Even though HISD don't want to let you pray in school, they close for Good Friday though. You better not go pray in no school, but we gonna go let you out though for Good Friday. And they don't call it Good Friday. Go look at the calendar. I do my homework. They call it spring holiday. They would call it Good Friday because we don't want to offend nobody. On one hand we good, and on the other hand we shame of our God. But we everything on pretty much closed on Good Friday. Amen. But let's look at Matthew 26. I want to show you that this Passover, and Jesus was. How many people you know if God said you got to die, you pick a day, you ain't gonna pick the 4th of July, you're gonna eat that barbecue. You ain't going on your birthday either. And you sure ain't going for Easter. Who want to die on Easter? I want my eggs. But I want to show you how much God loves you. He died during the holidays on purpose. Amen. He said, this night I must eat this Passover, which represents that don't you know God don't mind us celebrating and eating? The Feast of Unleavened Bread, they ate all that week. And God said, really, God was stricter. He said, during those 7 days, you couldn't go to work or work in the field. Wives couldn't do nothing but eat and celebrate and remember the day God delivered you from bondage. That was a 7-day feast. Who wanted to die doing all that? But that's when he died. To show you that, hey, because I know most people's attention. That's why I get everybody's attention. He died during the Jewish holiday. I'm going to back it up with the word. Matthew 26. So you know what Passover is. Now let's see what Jesus said. Matthew chapter 26. Well, nobody want to die on Easter Sunday. I got to get my chocolate rabbits and my brisket. Can I go Monday morning? But that's how much God loved you. He died during the holidays. And that was the most significant time of his people's culture, the Passover. So they remember that God delivered them from bondage. Matthew 26, look at verse 17. When you finally say, bless his name. Bless his name. Matthew 26, verse 17. Now, on the first day of the feast, what did it say? Of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the what? Passover. It was a holiday. Now, he getting ready to die. Within those 7 days, they're going to crucify him. And then on that first Sunday following the Passover is Easter. He rose from the dead. So while they were celebrating, he was being whooped. He was being tried by false accusers. Amen. While people was eating their bread pudding, he was getting beaten. Check it out. Let's look at it. Let's look at it. Verse 18, and he said, go into the city to such a man and say unto him, the master said, my time is at hand. I'm finna die. While y'all finna celebrate, I'm finna die. I will keep the Passover at the house with my disciples. I'm still going to represent and respect what God said. God said, remember the Passover all your generation. Jesus said, I must keep this Passover before I leave. Amen. I still got to honor my father before y'all kill me. Huh? Look what it say. Verse 19. And the disciples did as Jesus had appointed them, and they made ready to what? That's the meal. Roasted lamb and bread. Woo, that sounds good, don't it? With garlic. Supposed to roast the lamb. And remember, the reason why the bread not going to rise because we don't know when Pharaoh going to come. So we can't sit there and wait for it. It's going to be like a flatbread. Subway said it's called a flatbread. Go in there. That's the only bread they got that's not fluffy. It's called a flat bread. No yeast in it. See, you get the story? So we cooking this roast and probably cooking it on a high fire. Look to them and say, it ain't smoking, he cooking it. It ain't smoking, he cooking it. And that bread ain't got no yeast in it because we don't know when God gonna get marching on. Matter of fact, they were supposed to eat with their clothes on. They were fully dressed because once Moses said to march, they were to march. Watch this. Look at verse 20. Now when the even was come, see, it's evening, he sat down with the 12. As they did eat, he said, verily, verily, I say unto you, one of you shall betray me. Now you celebrating a religious holiday with a preacher at the table getting ready to sell you out. He can't wait to get away to go tell where you at. Now he's celebrating a religious holiday with Jesus. And he don't even see what God is doing. I'm finna be the Passover lamb. I'm finna be the lamb that they killed in Egypt and sprinkled the blood over the doorpost. I'm finna go shed my blood for you, Judas. And for all of y'all that reject me today. I'm the Passover lamb. What happened in Egypt is significant. What I'm finna do now, I'm finna die so you can be set free.
Amen.
Yes, they didn't get it. They didn't get it. Palm Sunday and the Passover mark a significant time in Jewish culture and Christian culture. Today, many are celebrating Easter/Resurrection Sunday, but most have no idea how blessed we truly are because the Lord love Jesus shared toward us. Amen. Yes, go and celebrate Easter. It's a good time, but remember that God died for you and that He rose from the dead, so you can be free. Because if you don't accept Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior, then you know we all die. Nobody can live forever. I used to have a goldfish when I was young. That was 40-something years ago. Where that goldfish at? In goldfish heaven. Nothing lives forever. And since you know you can't live forever, you might as well get to know God. Amen. I used to have a puppy named Brody. But Brody gone. He been gone long time ago. The winter killed him. You can't stay here. Huh? My brother used to have a gerbil. We used to feed him pencil dust. What? Yes, the gerbil he would. When you ain't got no food. We had a gerbil. Where's the gerbil? He gone. I used to have a house cat. I used to have a house cat named Sam. Got him off the streets. Sam was pretty. Sam is gone. You can't stay here. Let's look at Romans. Now, you know the true meaning of Easter Sunday? His resurrection, that he got up. He died, but he rose again. Romans chapter, I want you to see it. Romans chapter 6. Romans chapter 6. He lives in us. Jesus lives in all of us, and we live in him if we are born again. Romans chapter 6, verse 1 through 6. Romans chapter 6. We were baptized into his body. We live in him. We literally live in him. That's good news. Amen. Romans 6, chapter 6, verse 1 through 6. When you find, say, bless his name.
Bless his name.
Look what it say. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? We dead to sin. Sin don't have no control over us. Why? Because of what Jesus did on Calvary. He died for me. He made him that knew no sin become sin for us, that we may become his righteousness. Because of what Jesus did on the cross, I can sin if I want to, but I don't sin because I have to. Oh, y'all better catch that one. I can sin if I want to, but I don't sin because I have to. Before Jesus died on the cross, I had to sin because that's all I knew was sin. But I got the power to walk away from it now because of what he done on Calvary. How do I know that? Let's read verse 3. Know ye not that so many of us as were baptized into Jesus were baptized into his death? What Jesus did on the cross, because he did it for you and I, if we have faith in him today, we were baptized on that cross right along with him, crucified with him in spirit. Look at verse 4. Therefore we are buried with him by baptism unto death, that like as Christ was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in what? Newness of life. The transition took place. I don't have to be enslaved to sin because Christ did rise from the dead by the glory of God. And because this transition was done, I am in him and he is in me, and now I have power over my sin. Verse 5. For if we have been planted together in the likeness of his death, we shall also be in the likeness of his what? Resurrection. And when Jesus got up, he got up with all power in his hand. So we have power also over our situation, if we want to have power. Look at verse 6. I like verse 6. Look what it says. Knowing this, that our old man is what? Crucified. Your old man, your old name, your old habits, your old person was crucified on the cross. That the body of sin might be what? Destroyed. That henceforth we should not what? Serve. That's the blessing of Easter. That's the blessing of Easter. You shall not serve sin, which means it should not control you. That don't mean you don't sin every now and then. You don't make a mistake. But you should not be enslaved to it because of what Jesus done on Calvary. Jesus gave his life during a Jewish holiday to show the similarities between Israel's deliverance and freedom to our deliverance and freedom today. God delivered Israel from 400 years of slavery and bondage under Pharaoh's hard taskmasters. And he delivered us today that nothing should control us any longer. Nothing should control us. Any burdens that, we born with sin in our heart. Nobody grow up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to be a crackhead. Nobody grows up and say, I'm going to grow up to be a drunkard. Nobody grows up and say, you know what, I'm going to be a whoremonger. Nobody grows. These things are planted in our soul when we were born. But when we get born again, God gives us a new soul and a new spirit and a new attitude and a new outlook on life. So then we see the transition taking place. So just like God set the Israelites free from Pharaoh, Jesus set us free from Satan's grip. Because Satan had his claws in all of us before we met Jesus. That's why you couldn't do the things you wanted to do. Even though you wanted to do them, you had the power to do it. You couldn't accomplish it because you were not born again. Because you were born under the influence of Satan, that old devil. And now that you gave your life to God, you are under the influence of Jesus. And Satan now has to take a back seat. The only way to get in the front seat if you give him a ride in the front seat. Now he'll ride up there with you if you let him. But you got to keep him behind you because that's the old me. And I'm walking in the new me. And that's with God. I'm going to keep my hand in his hand. And wherever he go, I'll follow. I don't lead him. I follow him. I'm going to keep my hand in his unchanging hand. The death angel passed over all the houses that had blood. So Jesus did the same thing the death angel did. He shed his blood on the cross for you and I. So we won't have to experience the second death. And the second death is what? The lake of fire. We are saved by grace. There's nothing you can do to be saved but accept the free gift of God. How do I know we are saved by grace? I'm going to give you one more scripture, then we're going to close. Ephesians 2:8-9. Amen. These are some good scriptures to remember. Ephesians 2:8-9. There's nothing you done to be saved. It's everything that he done for us to be saved. Ephesians 2:8-9. When you find it, say, bless his name. Bless his name. Look what it says. For by grace are you saved through faith, and that not of yourself. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. You're only saved because of God's amazing grace. And your faith, placing your faith in Jesus. So God did the work, but you believe the work that he done. And so you're able to be saved. But it's not by nothing you done on your own. It's because of what you believe. And you trusted God with your life. And so you're benefiting from this amazing grace. Jesus rose from the dead in order to defeat the works of the devil. To destroy the yoke placed on mankind and to set us free. We now can become the children of God based on his death and his resurrection. Jesus rose from the dead. That's what Easter Sunday is about. Jesus rising from the dead. They crucified him. And he rose from the dead in order to defeat the works of the devil. Destroy the yoke placed on mankind and to set us free. We now can become the children of God based on his death and his resurrection. That's what Easter is all about. He rose from the dead. Somebody might be asking the question, I can hear it. Well, where the eggs come from? The eggs was already here. Where the rabbits come from? Where the bunnies come from? Where all the festivities come from? I'm going to tell you where it came from. The Roman Catholic Church started all that. And the reason why they did that is because they wanted to attract non-Christians to come to church and worship God. That's why they did it. They still talked about God and Jesus, but to get the people that, see, like you here because you love God. That's why you here. But the people that was not going to come to church, they threw like a big festivity, like a fun day in the park sort of thing. And they had bunnies and stuff out there. When the kids saw the little bunny rabbit, they were like, look, mama, look, the bunny rabbit. And so when they got them, on the field and they started giving all the little gifts and stuff, then the priest came out and said, good evening. They didn't worship the bunny rabbit. They did it to get people that wouldn't normally come to church to come to church. In other words, the rabbit and the eggs and stuff was the bait. But when they got them to church, they talked about God. That's where it came from. Google it. Amen? Get a Lord a hand clap of praise this morning. Anybody got any question?
I have a question.
Any comment? Yes, ma'am.